He's like our most creative player, and we look quite flat without him.
Yeah,
So I
he
feel like
stretches the
he's
play a
probably,
lot as well.
I think he's extremely underrated, and I feel like he has to play every week.
First things first, seeing as you're on the podcast, let's talk about Aston Villa's summer. The last time you were on the podcast, we were talking about Diego Carlos being signed quite early, Coutinho being guaranteed in as a new player for you as well. What's changed for Aston Villa for you this season, Salim, this summer coming up?
Yeah, so I'd say it's been quite a good pre-season. The signings we've made have addressed like a lot of key areas that needed addressing, and it sort of reiterated my point whereby in January we really needed that defensive midfielder, but we did go out and get one because I mean you could just see that. Well, now it's evident to see that the plan was to always get Kamara in, and the board's gone and delivered that. We've got Diego Carlos in as well, another big signing. People sort of underestimate that one. I think he's probably going to be the key one in terms of like being part of the top three defenses from the top five leagues, and the other two teams were Man City and Liverpool, for example. So like massive achievement there. So to get that through the door, I mean, both players had Champions League offers, and we beat them off just to get them in. Just shows they believe in this project. But yeah, I'd say it's been a good window. I mean, Chukwuemeka sort of left yesterday. I mean, today I think it got confirmed, was it? So that's a saga that's been boiling over for the last season, and
Yeah, tell me
I'd have
more
loved
about
for him
that.
to stay.
I need to know more
Yeah,
about that because I
so
only heard about it the last few days on the WhatsApp group as well. But what is the actual story about Chukwuemeka to Chelsea?
so he's been going on for like over like a year and a half, to be honest. Whereby, as in like to the best of of my knowledge, what I know has happened is that he sort of wanted more playing time, and he wanted like sort of guaranteed playing time and some like ridiculous money. I think it's the agent that sort of put in his head, and he's sort of been refusing to sign a new contract from last season. So when he had 2 years left on his deal, he's been like refusing to sign under Dean Smith because he needs like reassurances about playing time. And then obviously Gerrard's come in. They've offered him like the best deal any 18-year-olds apparently had in the Premier. We've offered him the best money of any 18-year-old at the moment in the Premier League, and
Yeah.
he sort of refused to sign still.
But
And
with Chukwuemeka as well, he wasn't even like a starter or a bench player for you, was he? He
no,
was only
no,
like two starts, I think, in the league. Was that correct?
yeah, I think he's got 2 or 3 starts last season, and even then he didn't really like take his chance in that sense. But
Yeah.
the thing that frustrates me most is that there's a clear pathway there for the youngsters. I mean, it's gone under the radar quite a bit, but I'd say like now us sort of Villa, we've probably got one of the best academies in England, in a sense that we've sort of got rid of some of the older players that weren't making it into teams, and we've sort of refused to go on that sort of merry-go-round, just loaning players out all the time, and then them not having any first team sort of pathway. But now we've sort of moved towards having more of a situation whereby all players like have a chance of playing in that first team. So that we've been signing like even 16-year-olds, like younger players, trying to get them into. You might have known there was a few, I think, from Rangers, a couple of 100K we've been paying, but it's gone under the radar, which probably helps us, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got some really good kids coming through, like Feeney, Kessler Hayden, Archer, who's been quite mentioned a lot, Ramsey. I mean, the pathway is there, though, if you think, like, Jack Grealish, £100 million player, came through the academy. But more recently, we've got Jacob Ramsey, purely just from the academy. And it just shows that Chukwuemeka is only like 17, 18, and he wants to be playing every week, but he's not proven and he's not, shown enough to be able to do that. I mean, if he would have just knuckled down, signed that deal, and showed commitment to the team, like Tim Irobianum was another one that came out towards the end of last season, he would have sort of had more chance, I'd say. But yeah, so what happened is obviously refused to sign, and Gerrard sort of refused to like bring him out to the Australia tour. I mean, the thing is that all his mates have gone over as well, so like they were obviously loving it, and he's had a good campaign with young England and under 20s, was it? I think
Under 19s where they won
under
the tournament
19s,
in
the
the Euros.
tournament. Yeah. So it would have been amazing for him to go out to Australia and play a few games, but with this like sort of lack of commitment, Gerrard sort of refused and said like either you sign the deal and you commit, or we're gonna have to sell you, kind of thing. But yeah, you could imagine like, so he was linked with Dortmund. I think his agent's been in his ear quite a lot that he could be like the next Bellingham type.
Mm-hmm.
But then sort of Dortmund didn't really come through. AC Milan were linked, but the bid was quite low. I think it was like a couple of million,
And
like 2-3
Barcelona as
mil.
well, I think. They won it
Yeah,
all.
I'm not sure if they were truly in, but I mean, they're linked with
Barcelona
everyone
always
today.
throw their name into the list for all these young English players, but they never actually go for them as well. So they're always just kind of throwing their name. Maybe again, it was
Yeah,
probably the agent
it probably
throwing it
just it
around.
helps us. I guess it just helps us like drive the price a bit. But yeah, and then obviously the Chelsea was a shock. You know, it came out from nowhere. I was just in the gym and I just see the tweet because I've got notice up for the official page, and it's yeah, Chukwuemeka signed.
Mm.
So yeah, it was quite interesting. But to think that the job that Perslo's done, the CEO behind the scenes, to get £20 million for an 18-year-old that's sort of got 2-3 starts in the Prem, and he's like, you know, he's not like even like at Rooney level where, you know, when you're paying that sort of big money, you can see, oh yeah, like wow, you know, that guy's worth that, or like certain other players that people are paying sort of big sums for, but 20 million for someone that's, you know, an unknown quantity. And I personally don't think he's ready to start for Chelsea. Like even for us, I wouldn't say he was ready to start for Villa. I'd say he'd be a really good player that we could integrate into the team, especially having 5 subs now. But you know, that's it now. And yeah, I feel like I personally feel like he's made a massive mistake in his career. You know, he could obviously prove me wrong, and that's football. But yeah, it was sad to see him go, but it's happy to just see the saga end finally.
Yeah, it's one of those where, first of all, was that your doorbell ringing in the background?
No, I think it's my laptop. I'll just put it on mute.
Ah, okay. That's all right. No, I thought it was a doorbell. I thought you was like ignoring the Hermes man delivering your new Aston Villa kit coming up.
Oh
But
no, yeah, my doorbell's been taken off at the moment, so yeah, I'm not going
okay.
to be doing that.
I was gonna say, as long as you don't have the Chukwuemeka name and number on the back of your new Villa kit, you're absolutely fine in that respect as well. But just for our listeners as well, what position did he play, and what would you kind of liken him to as a player, just so
So
we can
if
expect
I
what to see at Chelsea?
yeah, if I was to put a direct comparison to him to another player, I'd probably say Pogba.
Okay.
He was a really, I'd say Pogba regen, easy. You know, he's got like that physicality, get up and down the pitch, and really skillful on the ball. Yeah, to be honest, I really rated him. He'd make a really good like number 10 camp kind of guy, but he could play box to box. I wouldn't say he's like a defensive midfielder though, but I'd say yeah, probably a Pogba regen's probably your best shout in
Do you
that
reckon he
sense.
can fit into that Thomas Tuchel system of that 3-4-3, or do you reckon he'll be one of the front three because he won't work with Kante or Kovacic properly, or Jorginho
I,
in the midfield?
honestly, I don't know. I don't know why Chelsea have signed him anyway.
Mm.
And honestly, I can't. I don't know where he's going to fit in. I think Chelsea's priority was probably getting a striker. I know they're linked with Aubameyang now, but yeah, you
Yeah.
know, fair play. You know, good luck to Chukwuemeka wherever he goes. I mean, I obviously don't want to see him do well, but you know, at the same time, he spent 6 years at the club, and you know, to say he came from our academy kind of thing, and you know, made it. It would be a nice thing. But yeah, so I think he's made a mistake. But you know, it's his career at the end of the day, and I just think his agent's probably been in his ear and given the wrong advice.
It reminds me of Josh Maja when he was at Sunderland coming through on loan.
Mm.
They went to Bordeaux and then now he went to Fulham on loan. They're just like everywhere now at Stoke. So it's another one of those where the agent's taken over the player's best interests at heart, basically.
Yeah,
Where I personally think it would have been better for him to stay at Villa to work under Steven Gerrard. And if anyone had to look at a midfielder where they can see how much they've improved in 6 months since Gerrard had been there, Jacob Ramsey. Look how well he's
mm.
done. Made one of the starting positions his own in that team as well, having to build a team around him and Coutinho in that midfield as well, which is really good to see. And I thought Chukwuemeka, had given him another season or two, would have been somewhere in that starting 11
Yeah,
with the 5 subs that you get to use as well. I thought it would have been quite nice to see
yeah. And
him
I
come
mean,
through.
for him at Villa, like the sort of caliber of player to learn from as well now. Like, you know, before you could understand why people would leave, go to another club. But if you're
Mhm.
looking like you got a manager in Gerrard, you know, who's, you know, world class midfielder, you've got Coutinho, someone that's sort of won everything. And you've got so many quality players around him, like Buendia is another one that, you know, we mentioned. We've got Kamara there as well. So there's quite a lot of talent around, and, you know, and you can obviously see that pathway in terms of Jacob Ramsey making it, as well as sort of a lot of other of the youth team players who, you know, Gerard's sort of been clear that if you're good enough, you'll play. And I personally think he has shown that to an extent. But yeah, let's see what happens now.
Yeah, definitely. And what's your first impressions of Aston Villa before the season starts tomorrow at the time of recording as well? Or are you expecting big things from Aston Villa this season, a European qualification? We've been saying it for 2 years, to be fair. So
Yeah,
do you think you've improved over the last 2 years or regressed over the last 2 years?
I'd say we have improved, but the problem is that everyone else has improved quite a lot too. Like, you know, West Ham could spend 40 million on a player like that, for example, and Newcastle obviously spending. So I'd say it's probably the most competitive the Premier League has ever been. Even, you know, the top six itself is hard, and now you've got this like mini league in between, which looks hard too. But personally, I feel like, you know, you at least Europa League is where we need to be, where we want to be, and what we're building towards. And then, you know, after that, we need to go towards Champions League and so on. But I think Stevie G's got his first proper pre-season and season, you know, to prove himself. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know a lot of fans were calling for like Pochettino and stuff like that to come in, but no, I think Stevie deserves a chance. Then you've got sort of selection. So I think Leon Bailey's looked really sharp in pre-season, and I'm hoping he can, you know, finally turn up and show everyone what he's worth.
This is a question I wanted to ask you as well, Styling. Where do you fit Leon Bailey in this 4-3-1-2 system for Aston Villa? Is he going to be your second striker? Is he going to be the attacking midfielder? Where does he fit being a natural winger, Leon Bailey?
I think if it's a 4-3-1-2, it'd be probably the forward. But I think our best system would probably be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And even in a 4-3-3, I think like either formation, Buendia has to play. He's like our most creative player, and we look quite flat without him.
Yeah,
so I
he
feel
stretches
like
the play a lot as well, as we
honestly,
saw.
like I think he's extremely underrated, and I feel like he has to play every week if we want any chance of getting anywhere near Europe. But to fit, like I feel like he could play as an 8 potentially, or even Coutinho, because he's done it before. You know, especially Buendia, he's sort of quite an aggressive player, which people don't really see, but he really gets stuck in the challenges and stuff. So yeah, I feel like if we can we've got more solid backing now in terms of having a proper defensive mid, because Douglas Luiz was always a box-to-box midfielder playing in a defensive mid role, which hasn't fully suited him. So we've got like a specialist in Kamara now, you know, Champions League level. We've got Carlos at the back, and you know we've improved. Like, look, you've got Luca Dean on one side, you've got Cash, and you've got quite a lot of other centre halves that are quite sort of challenging for that spot next to Carlos. So yeah, I mean, I'm really interested. We've got a lot of depth. I think there's players that hopefully will play more, like Sanson, for example. I think he's another Champions League quality player that's just not been given a proper chance to show his worth. I know that there's a rumor going around that we're after like another forward. So I think by forward, it'll probably be like a winger/striker type, because we're looking to get rid of sort of a couple of players, and we're after like another number 8. So yeah, so it's exciting times at Villa. With the way that our board works, you know, you could be after a player, like you don't even know who you're after, and somebody could just sign like randomly. Like I remember talking about Danny Ings last season. Actually, I think he signed on this day last year. I remember I was
at the beach that day.
I was out shopping somewhere. I think I was in Leeds or something. I was in my car, and I was chatting to my dad, and my dad was like, "Oh, you know, maybe we should go for someone like Danny Ings." I was like, "Oh, there's 0% chance of that happening. Like, it's not going to happen." And literally, the second I said that, literally 2 minutes after, I just get a notification from the Villa app saying, "Oh, we are delighted to announce the signing of Danny Ings." And I was like, "Oh, bloody hell! Like, what the hell's happened here?" But yeah, so even like Danny Ings, like he didn't even tell his own wife that he was joining Villa. So we've got a really good sort of backing, and yeah, we just need to have a really good season this season, and you know, push on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was at the beach in Wales when that signing happened. I just saw the group chat light up. I was like, "Oh, Danny Ings, never heard a rumor about it at all," which is great. And for him to not even tell his own wife is fantastic as well. He was like, "Nah, I've got to keep it so secret." And it was something that I wanted to kind of ask you as well. Just a final question on Villa before we move on to our next topic, Salim. How do we solve that Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings partnership up front? What works for you? Would you rather just see Watkins start, Ings on the bench, Ings start, Watkins on the bench together? How does it kind of work for you going into the season?
I feel like it's going to be one of those where both should get a chance across the season. Like, you know, we should mix it up. Some days we'll play 2 up top. You know, we could play 3 at the back kind of thing, or even 4 at the back. But I feel like there'll be some games where, you know, we need to play both of them up top. Personally, at the moment, I'd probably start Ings as my striker. I feel like he's more clinical than Watkins. I don't know. Watkins has been getting a lot of hate, but his goal record's not that bad in the Premier League. He's just not clinical enough to be hitting 20 a season, which is where he needs to be. Whereas, you know, Danny Ings has proved that he can do that. I feel like the good thing about Watkins is like, and Ings as well, like, you know, the amount that they press. So, you know, Watkins could always play as like a inside left kind of player, because I prefer the balance with like a 3 up top kind of thing, or even a 4-2-3-1. But yeah, it's obviously going to be interesting, and you've got Cameron Archer in the mix as well. Keaton Davis is still there at the moment. I don't know how long he will be there. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be a season where I hope both get, you know, kind of like last season, get chances. But Gerrard did make the point, he doesn't want to start one week and then the other one the other week, because, you know, they both should technically be starting. but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Gerrard fits it in. I don't think we should try and shoehorn them in either. I feel like if the need is there to play two up top, then do it. If not, then either play Watkins, kind of either on the left, which he can do, or just start with Ings for now. Because I personally feel like Ings is the one that should be starting at the moment.
Definitely, that's good to hear as well, because both of them, both fringe players, potentially even calling up for England as well, which will be good to see if they make it into the November squad as well for Qatar in 2022. But it'd be good to see how Danny Ings actually settles into the season, settles into the system with Steven Gerrard as well, because I thought Watkins was probably the better out of the two that settled into the system. But obviously, Ings is a clinical finisher and has done it for a number of years as well. Who would you start, Salim?
If it was up to me, if it was up to me, I'd probably have Emi in net. I'd go Cash, Konsa, Carlos, Dean. And then in midfield, I'd have like a three of, I'd probably go with Kamara, McGinn, and probably I'd go Ramsey.
Yeah.
And then the front three, I'd have Coutinho, I'd have Ings and Buendia. But the thing is, like, I'd want to fit Douglas Luiz in that midfield, or I'd want to fit Bailey or even Watkins. So it's too hard to commit myself to a team. But at the moment, I'd probably say that.
Yeah, but you've had better problems in the past, and you've had worse problems in the past as well. So having better players in your squad is a lot better. And obviously with the 5-sub rule, like we mentioned before, you're going to be able to get these players on for game time later in the game, which will be really good to see as well. But like you said earlier on the podcast, Aston Villa looking for challenging for a European spot as well. And with the players that you have, I personally think it's going to be a good season for you guys as well. I think Gerrard will fully have his team that he wants. He's been able to work really well and efficient in the transfer window, mostly thanks to your board and your recruitment staff, which has been good to see. Final question on Aston Villa for you today, Salim. Who's going to be your top scorer this season?
Oof. So again, I have no idea. I mean, a lot of people are putting that outside chance and it being Leon Bailey, but it's going to be between Ings and Watkins. Watkins has done it last 2 seasons, but I'll put my neck out and I'll take Ings.
Go on then.
Ings 15. Ings with 15.
Ings with 15 goals for the season. We'll remember this in May when Ings gets 20 goals for the season as well.
And Watkins with 13.
13. And then Bailey with like 10. And loads of
I don't want to go that far on the prediction.
Oh, it could be the case as well, which would be good.